big hand for our honorable guest, Professor Lumumba. My brother, I've always been telling you that you have a lot of disciples in Tanzania. Now you see for yourself how packed Nkrumah Hall is. And I want to assure you, if it weren't for the university examinations that are going on at the moment, maybe we'll be struggling for space in this hall. And this is to welcome you very warmly to the University of Dar-es-Salaam. Professor Lumumba does not need introduction because he's been here before and we all know him in different ways. We've been following him in all the different speeches that he's been giving all over Africa. But let me introduce him a little bit so that we get to know who Professor Lumumba is. Professor Lumumba is the Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Kenya School of Law. He's a Professor of Public Law and founding Dean of the Kabarak University School of Law. He has lectured law at the University of Nairobi, the United States International University of Africa, Widener University in USA, and Nairobi Summer School. He's an advocate of the High Courts of Kenya and Tanzania. He holds Bachelor of Laws and Master of Laws in degrees from the University of Nairobi and LLD from the University of Ghent, Belgium. He is also a holder of the degree of Doctor of Letters, honoris causa, from the University of Cape Coast in Ghana. He's a certified public secretary, CPS-K, and a member of the Kenya Institute of Management. He has been trained on human rights at the Institute of Advanced Legal Studies, University of London in England, humanitarian law at the Raoul Wallenberg Institute of the University of Lund in Sweden, and on international humanitarian law in Geneva, Switzerland. He is a renowned legal practitioner. He has written several books, including Criminal Procedure in Kenya, An Outline of Judicial Review in Kenya, Kenya's Long Search for a Constitution, The Postponed Promise and Judicial Review and Administrative Law. He has published numerous articles in refereed journals and several book chapters. He has co-authored The Constitution of Kenya 2010, an introductory commentary with Dr. Louis Franceschi. He has also co-authored several books on ethics. His non-legal books include Swearing by Kenya, A Call for Political Hygiene in Kenya Politics, and From Raw Deal to Real Deal. He has also co-authored 27 other books on integrity as school series. He has recently ventured into fiction with his book, Stolen Moments. He is a former secretary of the Constitution of Kenya Review Commission and former director of the defunct Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission. He is the founding trustee of the African Institute for Leaders and Leadership and founding chairman of the Association of the Citizens Against Corruption. He has been named and recognized by the International Commission of Justice, Kenya, and the Law Society of Kenya for his exemplary contribution to the legal profession. He was recognized by the Kenya-USA Association for the Martin Luther King Jr. Leadership Award in 1996 and was the recipient of the 2008 Martin Luther King Africa Salute to Greatness Award by the Martin Luther King Jr. Africa Foundation. He has also been included in the Mackey's Who's Who in the World and is the Distinguished Mwalimu Nyerere Lecturer for 2014. He was the 11th Kwame Nkrumah Lecturer at the University of Cape Coast in Ghana in 2016. Ladies and gentlemen, these are just some of Professor Lumumba's achievements. And as you are all aware, Professor Lumumba has a deep, deep passion for discussing the fate and direction of our continent. It is indeed our great privilege and honor to once again have him speak here today at Nkrumah Hall. My brother, I, with great honor and pleasure, present you to the University of Dar-es-Salaam.
Thank you very much. Let me start by recognizing the Vice Chancellor of the University of Dar-es-Salaam. Permit me also to recognize the Deputy Vice Chancellor and to recognize Professor Penina Mlama. And in the audience, permit me to recognize Mzee Warioba, my Lord, I recognize you. I also take this opportunity to recognize the other academics who are present here, the students who are here, and members of the press. I'm so very happy to be invited once again to be present with you to celebrate and commemorate the life and times of Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere. I first came to Tanzania as a student on the 9th day of December 1984 when I was a student leader at the University of Nairobi, and the then president of Kenya invited me, among other students, to accompany him. And that is when I met Mwalimu Nyerere. I then, 10 years later, in 1994, visited at the invitation of Professor Harub Othman on the occasion of 40 years of celebration of leadership in Africa. And that is when I formally was introduced to Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere and his foundation. It therefore gladdens my heart that I'm in the country of a man whom I admire and in a hall that is named after another great African, the Osagyefo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. The subject that has preoccupied us in the last few days is one that is as topical as it is relevant. The rise or fall of Africa on account of the African politician. And in order to do justice to that subject, and to remain faithful to my chosen subject, which is a call for hygiene in African politics, there is a sense in which one must take a historical journey, if only to appreciate the factors that animated Africans to seek to regain their independence from the colonial masters. Historians will remind us that we were first enslaved, that Africans were taken, and this we seldom say. The first civilization to take Africans out of this continent were the Arabs. And they took Africans from the eastern coast. And it's sad that in that part of the world, there are not many Africans who remained, because it was in the business of the Arab enslaver to castrate Africans. We never say that, but we must say it because it is historically significant. Then the Europeans came, the Portuguese came, the Spaniards came, the Germans came, the French came, the Belgians came, Africa became the hunting ground for the European colonizers, and we were the spot. We built, our ancestors built the United States of America. Our ancestors built Europe. And when slavery had lost its shine and sheen, the Europeans abolished it. But they replaced it with yet another pernicious enterprise, the colonization of Africa. The Europeans sat